think I'm going to start with The Queen of My Dreams, directed by Fawzia Mirza, or Mirza. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Hopefully I am. It has a whole bunch of actors, but the main actors you're going to have in here, I guess for me, the main actors are going to be as Azra, you have Amrit Kaur, if I can say the name correctly. And then Miriam, you have played by Nimra Bucha. And also both of them have different versions of themselves being played by different actors, like younger versions. But those are, I think, the lead versions that you see the most. And this place takes place, well, it takes place in a lot of time periods. Like I said, it starts in Toronto, but it's mostly in Pakistan. And I believe it's a Canadian Pakistani co-production, although at least the person story that's being told is mostly Pakistani, but they have a Canadian, a strong Canadian connection because some of the main characters end up immigrating to Canada. So basic story of this is you start out with Azra, young woman, probably, college age woman. She is living in Toronto in 99 and she's waiting for her parents to visit from Pakistan. She is in a relationship with a woman, Azra is, and you can see that she's out where she lives. It looks like she's not hiding who she is, but it seems like she maybe isn't really fully 100% out to her parents. And while she's waiting for her parents to arrive, partway there, her father has a heart attack and dies. And immediately everything's thrown up in the air, and she has to return to Pakistan to basically help deal with on the funeral and all the arrangements and all that stuff, and her family, and see her family and all that stuff. So she leaves behind her girlfriend and goes there. And at the beginning, I'm thinking, well, this is going to be all about her coming out to her mom or her parents or whatever, coming to terms with being gay and all this kind of stuff. But it isn't really that. It is much more about daughters and mothers, and also how, as people, generally, a lot of times you have older people that are quite conservative. That's the stereotype, right? In this case, her mom is like that. Her mom is always giving her a hard time, like, why aren't you a better Muslim? And why aren't you that? You kind of get that feeling that you get with a lot of parents where they're like, why don't you marry a young man and settle him down? Why aren't you practicing the religion I taught you? Why aren't you living a more stable life and just settling down and all that kind of stuff? It's very traditional for a parent to, an older person and a parent to have that attitude with their kid. But what this movie does, I think that's really fun and really interesting, because this is a very bright, vibrant movie. If you're hearing this at the beginning, you're thinking like, okay, it's like a family drama, probably slow, pretty serious. This movie is dramatic, but overall, it's really bright and really vibrant and very energetic. And I think that's the thing you don't get off the first description of this movie. And I want to leave you with that impression. It is not dour. It's not slow. It's not gray. It's the opposite of all those things. And what it really is getting at is how and why does a person who is younger and full of that kind of excitement and exploration of life and rebelliousness and wanting to find your own way in the world, how does that person become that other person, that conservative, older, you want to just have kind of things be in control? How do you become that kind of person, a parent, grandparent, whatever they are? And this movie really does that, because what it does is Azra gets there, of course, and immediately she has to fall back into a more conservative role that is not her life anymore. She has to put on traditional clothing. Of course, they're in mourning, and then she sees herself immediately getting pushed into the role of a woman in her version of that society over there, which is what do women do during mourning? What are women not allowed to do during mourning? Be more like her mom's always going to be, I wish you were more like this, and that kind of stuff. And there's almost an offhand comment in the very beginning where Azra mentions that her mom had loved this this actor from the 60s, this actor called Shamila Tagore, who's a real actor. She's a musical actor. And I think if most people are going to see this and go, oh, Bollywood, but it's not Bollywood because this is Pakistan. But it has that same kind of style and feel. And there's this musical actress that was really glamorous and a huge deal. And that is Shamila Tagore. You can look at some of the clips. There's a clip they show over and over in this movie. It's almost like a running motif. Very romantic, beautiful, very 60s, cool almost. And there's a big point in this movie where it shows like how different Pakistan was in the 60s, how progressive and out there, and the women were really much more, it was much less conservative. Even though it had conservative sides to it, it was overall less conservative. And I think that's kind of the secondary line of this movie is like, how did this great, vibrant country become so conservative over the last few years? If you want to look for the political slant of it, but really this is about relationships. So really quickly, Azra's back there dealing with the death of her dad, dealing with her mom, like being disappointed with her and her mom being very conservative and even treating her brother, Azra's brother's getting treated much more like he gets to do a lot more things. He gets to be involved a lot more because he's a guy, he's a man, than Azra does. They bring up this actor and Azra's mom, which is Miriam. Miriam just ignores the fact that she even liked that actor in the past. But Azra's like, you were obsessed with her. She's your favorite thing in the world. And her mom's, no, she wasn't, whatever. And then a huge chunk of the movie becomes a flashback. So really what you get here is almost 2/3 of the movie is in the 60s in Pakistan and then eventually in Canada. And you essentially see how similar Azra and Miriam are and how Miriam was this hugely, I keep saying the word vibrant, but a hugely active, and she explored life, and she just was, and she also herself, you get a clues that she might have been slightly, quote, tomboyish. Maybe she almost was interested in women, but it doesn't really go that way. She meets the future dad of Azra and everything, and they have a romance. So it kind of becomes this romance, but also seeing like the role of women and how she was very much her own person and loving life and really doing all these great things. And how eventually she met Azra's dad and they end up going off to Canada and their life there. You have a part of their life there too, which is in the 80s or 70s at that point, which is interesting as well. So this ends up being a period piece. It's super, super energetic, super engaging. You end up, the movie just loves these characters, loves the time period. It looks like amazing. Just seeing all the 60s fashion in Pakistan in a chunk of it. And then I think, like I said, I think it might be 70s or early 80s fashion and stuff in Canada. And seeing these, after you've seen the life they were living in Pakistan, and then seeing the life they end up living in Canada, and then seeing a very young Azra, and how Azra is discovering as a child, like her sexuality, as well as her place in that society and her place in her family. It's just one of those engaging family comedy drama with tinges of music movies that, I mean, like a Coda or like one of those kind of movies that's just so, so lovable, and the people are so lovable, and you're rooting for everybody. And really all it's doing is coming down to the point of, is the mother going to rediscover who she was now after the death of her husband? And he's not the fault for her becoming conservative as far as like his personality. He is very loving and very encouraging. And is Azra going to come to discover herself and keep herself in this whole world? And are the two of them going to connect? And I think it's just a wonderful movie. This is 5 stars for me. Once again, it'll probably get lost in the shuffle, but this movie deserves a lot of people watching it. And I think it's one of those that has very broad appeal. A lot of times I suggest a movie and I say, if you like this kind of movie, it'll be for you. Or if you don't like this kind of movie, it won't be for you. This is a movie I think that will be the right kind of movie for a lot of people, except that it's mostly, not all, it's a lot of it in English, but there's a lot of it not in English. People see that and they're like, oh, it's international. I don't really deal with those kind of movies. It's not for me. I think they'd be really missing out, because I think a lot of people, if they gave this a chance, would really love it. Especially, I could imagine young women. The whole mother-daughter dynamic is such a strong part of this movie. I think that would work really well for a lot of people. But once again, it's international. It's for everybody, because everybody can relate to the idea of being a kid and having some kind of strife with your parents because your parents are disappointed in the path you took, or they want you to be something you're not. That is such a huge thing for so many people in their lives. And how do you become your own person and be accepted for it? And once again, not heavy-handed on the sexuality part. Even though it's there, it's really just about trusting and being in yourself and understanding the person that brought you there, and that person understanding themselves and like reaccepting who they really are. It's just so good. It's so good. So fun. And that, once again, is the queen of my dreams.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.